So this morning I've woken up in Osmothley, which is in the North Yorkshire Moors. I'm up here visiting an old mate from university, but figured I would take the opportunity to get my bike out up here. In the famous words of Phil Lovett, I'm not on a training camp, so I can only do a little spin this morning. But I'm next to a couple of hundred climbs, so thought I'd get out and see how they go.
Hello everyone. This video is a little bit different because it's just going to be about a weekend where I got up to some stuff in Yorkshire. This is the beautiful little village of Osmotherley, I think is how it's pronounced, I don't know, where me and Rhiannon stayed for a couple of nights. Yeah, as I said at the intro, whilst visiting my old housemate Ellis from university and best friend and course mate. It was a great weekend and I'm glad I got to get out on my bike in the North Yorkshire Moors, but it really wasn't the priority, if that makes sense. It was just a little bonus. The hotel we stayed at was a funny little place. It was lovely, the guy who ran it was amazing, but like, we had a curfew and I couldn't fit my bike in the room, and when I got down in the morning it was just me in a pub on my own setting up my bike and all the doors were locked and I had to go out a fire escape and hope that Rhiannon would let me back in when I got back because they weren't done yet. It was really funny. So this is my first time riding my bike in the North Yorkshire Moors and I've heard so much about it. Here's a deer. Yeah, I know it doesn't come out well, but seeing a deer is exciting for me. Depending on where you live, it may not be exciting for you, but for me, I don't see many deer while I ride. This is a reservoir just north of Osmotherley, which was a lovely way to start the morning. What a beautiful day. I could not have had better weather for it. So yeah, this was me rolling out my first time in the North Yorkshire Moors, and it was very pretty. It's a really lovely place. I should say that I don't mean this badly, but I've got a little chip on my shoulder about Yorkshire because so many people from Yorkshire are absolutely adamant that it's the greatest place on earth and nowhere can compare, that I've immediately got my back up and I'm like, well, it's nice, but it's not so much better than everywhere else that you have to be like, oh, you don't know an hill, you're not from Yorkshire, we only have hills in Yorkshire. It's a bit exhausting.
Good morning. Good morning from the North Yorkshire Moors. Isn't it a beautiful morning?
There are so many steep little gradients, ups and downs around here, and I'll come back to that later, but it was a great way to start the day, like absolutely herring it down this descent. And hoping I'd set up my brakes okay when I'd rebuilt my bike. Some tight corners, not so much embarrassment as the last couple of videos of me absolutely messing them up though, but very nice. And here's a beautiful bridge. Like normal, there were too many beautiful bridges for me to stop for all of them. That morning sun is just stunning over the moors here. So behind me, I just got out of the real hills and I was riding along a flat and you can see the hills next to you with some cows and stuff. Fantastic. The reason I'd come out of the hills is to go north and to do an official 100 climbs climb called Carlton Bank, and that's what I've just started. Now this isn't going to be a climb video. I'm not going to show you the whole climb, and I'm sure you'll be glad about that because it'd be a bit dull. It starts with what I'd call a false flat. It's kind of 3 to 6% depending on where you are, and I've cut a lot of that out. It's really nice to ride, and as you can see, it's you know, it's pleasant, it's quite enjoyable, but it'll get boring to watch. I apologise for not having any rear view footage on this. My SD card failed for some reason. I can't quite pick up that lovely lady on a horse. She didn't just say good morning, she said, looks like you're going really strong, you're going to set a great time, keep pushing. I thought, wow, what a level of encouragement from a lady riding her horse. And this is where Carlton Bank really starts to kick. The second half is sharp switchbacks. Oh, this is crap videography, I know, with the sun clearing, like completely dazzling the contrast there. And my metrics are a little bit out, but this was really tough. This corner's like 20%, and now it gets to sort of pitch and flatten off. And I was pretty deep in at this point. I think this is 4 and a bit minutes into the climb, which I had set off, as you saw earlier, well over threshold. I figured it's a sort of 6 to 8 minute climb, depending on how you do it. So I aimed for over 350 watts to hold. I don't know why I thought I could do that. So it was really hard, but I am, consistently holding 370 to 400, depending on how I go. I think I've just underestimated how long it is. Here we're getting up to 20%, 21%. I think that's about as steep as this climb gets. So we're not getting stupid steep, but it is, it's a real hard effort. At the end, I'll put the segment up on Strava so that you can get an idea of roughly what I had to contend with. But this was a beautiful climb, and behind me you can see kind of the Vale of North Yorkshire. There's the North Yorkshire Moors where I am, and then maybe 20 miles to the west there's the Yorkshire Dales, and in between them there's just like this absolutely pan-flat, I don't know if it's glacial or what, but this pan-flat stretch of land, and the views you get over it from up here are really nice. They're really panoramic, I think is the word I'm looking for. Very expansive vistas in a way that you kind of don't get in Wales, because in Wales there's always another hill just there, whereas here it's really you can see for a very long way across Thirsk and North Allerton, which is where my friend I was visiting lives, there or thereabouts. So just up here I was starting to think, how is this climb still going actually? And you can see there's a wall to my left, and down there was a really picturesque river valley, and if I'd had my rear view camera you'd have got to enjoy it with me, but I'm afraid I don't. Hadn't eaten anything before this ride. I don't think it really matters, but as you may have understood there, the hotel that I'm staying at, lovely though it is, offered me breakfast in a relatively small window. So I'm also rushing back because they wanted me to know when I wanted breakfast, because it was just like, the guy who owns it is going to cook you breakfast, tell him what time, and I just randomly said, I don't know, 9:30. So got out around 7:30 and knew that I should easily be able to complete this route in this time, but I don't get faff time within that. I have to be on it. So I pushed relatively hard. I didn't stop for many photos, which is a shame, because I could have stopped every 2 minutes around here. I really could have. But the end's in sight there. Look at this, green bin. It's not yellow. Why? What's going on, Yorkshire? Why are the salt bins green? They're called yellow bins. Jesus. Right. Other than that, Yorkshire, you haven't disappointed me in any way, but the colour of the bins is a real letdown. I'm really disappointed with that. And now we're at the top. That's nice. Much better. Just on Carlton Bank. It was hard. Really hard. I knew not to set off too tough. But I did anyway. Classic. And yeah, it became a real slog at the end. Beautiful climb. I wish my rear camera was working. Views are stunning. So got a really nice descent after that climb. Nice back road rolling down into the moors. I passed a few cyclists up here, and given that this is before 8 AM, it was busier than I anticipated. I appreciate on this completely open road that sounds stupid, but there were a good number of people about: walkers, cyclists, farmers, tourists. Just to give you a feel for the views. Cracking views, overcoming my prejudice a little bit. Yeah, it really is great in Yorkshire. I rode this main road for quite a while. Surface was crap, it was busy, the views were deeply uninspiring, so I've jumped us a lot of the way around the course now. That was just a means to an end, and I turn off and the ride really gets going again. I'm not holding that against Yorkshire. There's boring roads everywhere. There's boring roads in Wales. Sometimes you just have to ride them to get between places. I really wanted to do well on this climb. Sorry, I've just skipped between topics like no one's business there. But this was a longish, steepish climb that wasn't really named, and I thought I could take a comm here.
You get there.
And then I met this lady.
Hey? You're okay? You're okay?
I was absolutely not going to power past a cow that's out of its field in order to go for a comm. Too risky. So now, I said earlier that Yorkshire's never really up or down, and that's a bit of a cliche, but it's really severely down then up at times. These climbs aren't long, but you see here I've just got on a descent with a minus 25% gradient sign, so you have to be hot on the brakes. You go over probably a ford, it's normally a ford in Yorkshire, and then it's straight up at 33% to get around to the other side. And there's loads of these. I never know, well, I tend to power through them and often regret it, like now.
I was in the big ring for that.
Absolute numpty. Didn't double tap my Di2. After a few more moments like that, I'm back into this beautiful moorland road. Just me and a couple of tractors that I had to stop for, in fairness. Here's another example of down a descent, over a ford, and straight up the other side. The joy of these Yorkshire fords is they're only overflow, so it's only if the river's really full that they have water running over them, unlike that one on World's End, which is wet all year round and therefore perilous. I really enjoyed this section of road. It may not be particularly interesting to you, but I just thought it was very pretty, very nice to ride. So in a sec, here's my summary of my ride. It was a good 47.5 kilometers. I did a good average power, nearly 260 watts for the time, and I really enjoyed it. Most importantly, there's some beautiful bits just like that. Well managed garden, lovely. And in a complete departure from stuff I've done on this channel before, I wondered if you guys might like to see 3 minutes of me running with Rhiannon. This is just straight out of our hotel and up this climb, which I found hard while cycling, and I found even harder whilst running. We ran it twice. I think Rhiannon didn't really enjoy it. If I'm going to do more of these running clips, which I might, I'll get a body mount, because everyone's going to get seasick watching this, and if the feedback from this is you shouldn't have even included it, it's too hard to watch, fair play, I understand that. But there was a reservoir just up from where we stayed, and it was a really nice just over 5k loop. No. Just general chatter between me and Rhiannon there. Don't think I'm ashamed of her, and I've deliberately cropped her out because of that. Rhiannon said while she's running and sweating and huffing and puffing, she'd rather not be on camera, so I tried to respect that. So you'll mostly hear me huffing and puffing, occasionally saying something annoying and giggling like a child. That's what Rhiannon has to put up with for all of our runs.
Oh my god, I want to go that way, but I won't. Yes! I'll see you up there!
Just slipped. Nice, Nick. Giggling like a child, falling over and running through a river. That is fairly standard behaviour, truth be told. And up to this gate.
Wet feet.
Kissing gates in Welsh are called pig gates, so that's what I call them now. It's a really nice trail around this lake, and it supposedly does get busy, but it wasn't busy when we went. Granted, quite early. Well, like 9 AM. Lots of dog walkers. You can ride your bike round here too, if you like. It's not very big and the paths are, I guess, quite boring, but if you're a family, might be enjoyable. Nice to run along the dam as well. Yeah, not bad at all. And a really nice way to make the most of being in Yorkshire.
Just making sure I didn't get you in it.
I know, I appreciated it. Look at that dog.
Yes!
Loads of great dogs around here. Dogs jumping up on walls, dogs having fun. I love it. So yeah, back the way I came. I've messed about with the metrics for the running, so pace and distance in there. I don't know if that's worth having at all. But here you go, back down the hill, back into Osmotherley now. Compared to running around Greasby, quite nice.
Right. Morning.
Cyclists, always friendly, aren't they?
So they've literally gone as you'd expect. Slowest up the hill, middle on the flat or around the lake, and quickest down the hill.
There's our run. 5.33k, 32 and a bit. That climb made it really, really hard. And back into picturesque Osmotherley now. You'll see our hotel, the Queen Catherine, which I would recommend. I enjoyed staying there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this slightly different video.
Okay,
cheers.
I'll get it right. Okay.